What is about to happen to you will shock every single person who watched you disappear into silence and assumed you were finished. The season of quiet that surrounded your life, the invisibility, the stillness, the years where nothing appeared to be moving, was not the ending that people mistook it for. It was the most sophisticated preparation process the universe has ever designed for a single soul. And what emerges from that silence is going to arrive so suddenly, so visibly, and so undeniably that the people who wrote your story off will not have adequate language to explain what they are witnessing happen to you in real time. Across the entire archive of spiritual history, the pattern you have just completed is among the most misunderstood and most powerful sequences a soul can move through. Silence of this depth and duration, sustained without bitterness and without abandonment of purpose, has produced some of the most extraordinary public emergences ever recorded in human and spiritual history. But the vast majority of souls who enter this kind of silence never complete it intact. They exit early through frustration, they collapse under the weight of feeling forgotten, or they fill the silence with noise before the transformation is complete. You did none of those things, and that singular fact changes everything about what happens next. Reflect carefully on what you chose to do with your silence, rather than what you allowed it to do to you. Instead of performing for an audience that had stopped watching, you went deeper. You studied when there was no visible reason to study. You refined your craft when no platform existed to display it. You strengthened your character in private conversations with yourself that no one else witnessed or applauded. There was a specific moment, perhaps unremarkable from the outside, where you made the decision to use the silence as construction material rather than evidence of failure. That decision was the precise moral and spiritual coordinate the universe had been waiting for you to reach. From the very first day your season of silence began, forces on both sides of the spiritual spectrum turned their full attention toward you. Darkness calculated that isolation would produce shame, that obscurity would generate doubt, and that extended invisibility would eventually cause you to abandon the identity you were being built to carry. It introduced comparison precisely when your progress felt slowest, whispered irrelevance into your quietest moments, and engineered circumstances designed to make the silence feel like punishment. Divine intelligence was simultaneously observing something far more significant: the quality of your development when no external reward was present, the depth of your growth when no audience existed to validate it. The integrity of your becoming when becoming itself was the only available motivation. There were multiple critical moments within your silence where the integrity of your development was tested with deliberate precision. The invitation arrived to re-enter visibility before your transformation was complete, packaged as opportunity, but carrying a frequency that would have compromised the depth of what was still being built, and you declined it. The moment came where the silence felt so heavy that abandoning your purpose would have brought immediate relief, and you absorbed the weight and continued anyway. The comparison presented itself in the form of people from your previous environment who had remained visible and appeared further ahead, and you looked, felt the sting, and returned to your own work without rerouting your energy toward their timeline. When higher intelligence compiled a complete record of what you built inside your silence, the skills refined without spotlight, the character deepened without witness, the spiritual fortitude developed without reward, the classification issued was extraordinary. You were identified as a soul that used obscurity the way master architects use foundational work, invisibly, patiently, and with a precision that would only become apparent when the structure finally became visible above ground. That classification placed you in a category of souls whose emergence cannot be dismissed as fortunate or accidental, because the evidence of preparation beneath the surface is too thorough, too deep, and too structurally sound to attribute to anything other than divine engineering and exceptional human commitment. At the precise moment your silent season reached its completion, when the last layer of necessary transformation locked into place, something shifted in the divine realm that sent immediate ripples into your physical reality. The archangels assigned to the stewardship of your emergence stood as witnesses to the full, scope of what had been built in the invisible season. God observed not just the completed version of you standing at the threshold of emergence, but the entire interior architecture that the silence had produced. Every skill sharpened in private, every wound transformed into wisdom, every moment of invisible faithfulness that constructed the soul now prepared to step into undeniable, accelerating, permanent public visibility. Following that divine witnessing, a decree of emergence was released into your timeline with irreversible authority. The silence has been officially declared complete. The season of obscurity has been closed by divine order, and what replaces it will arrive with a speed and visibility that will feel disproportionate to anyone who did not witness the depth of what was built beneath the surface. Every skill you developed without an audience is now being assigned an audience. Every gift you refined in private is now being given a public stage. Every layer of character you built in the invisible season is now being handed a set of circumstances specifically designed to display it, and the display will be impossible to overlook. The identity assigned to you by the silence, dormant, delayed, somehow behind, was never the truth of what you are. What you actually are is an emergence carrier, an ancient soul who chose one of the most difficult assignments available in a human lifetime, to build everything in complete obscurity and trust the architecture of divine timing to determine the moment of revelation. You entered this lifetime already encoded with the understanding that the most powerful emergences are always preceded by the deepest silences. What is about to become visible in your life is not a sudden development. It is the surface finally catching up to a depth that has been building, compounding, and preparing for this exact moment across an entire hidden season. With the decree of your emergence now fully active, the clarity of your mission arrives alongside it. You are not simply emerging for personal visibility or individual success. You are emerging as living proof that silent seasons are not spiritual punishments, but the most sophisticated developmental tools in the divine arsenal. Your mission is to carry that truth into every space your emergence now opens, to demonstrate through the undeniable quality of what you bring. That depth of preparation produces a caliber of contribution that shortcut-seeking visibility can never replicate. Every room that receives you in this new season receives not just your gifts, but the testimony embedded within them, that what was built in silence is always worth the wait. Because the decree of your emergence is now structurally active, the material world is beginning to reorganize around the frequency of what was built in your silence. Opportunities calibrated to the depth of your preparation, not the surface level of your previous visibility, are beginning to surface. Financial alignment, meaningful partnerships, creative platforms, and influential relationships are arriving at a pace that reflects the compound interest on every private investment you made throughout your silent season. What materializes in this period will feel sudden to everyone watching from the outside, but you will recognize it as the inevitable return on work that was always real, always accumulating, and always moving toward this exact moment of release. As your emergence becomes visible to the people around you, something profound will begin happening in the lives of those who have been watching. Your sudden shift from silence to undeniable visibility will dismantle every narrative they constructed to explain why you had disappeared. But more importantly, it will do something to the people in their own silent seasons, the ones still buried in obscurity, still questioning whether their quiet development has any destination. Your emergence will arrive in their awareness like evidence. Not inspiration in the abstract sense, but concrete, undeniable proof that silence has a graduation date, that invisible work has a public return, and that what is built with integrity in private always eventually exceeds what was built with performance in public. You are not moving through this emergence alone. Across the world right now, thousands of souls are completing their own silent seasons simultaneously. People who disappeared from visibility for months or years and used that obscurity to build something the world has not yet seen. You are part of a global cohort of silence-forged souls whose emergences are being coordinated across timelines with deliberate precision. When you begin encountering these people, and you will, the recognition will be immediate and unmistakable. You will see the quiet depth in them that mirrors what was built in you, and the combination of your emergences will create a collective frequency shift that no single individual emergence could have produced independently. If this message found you today, it was delivered with the precision of divine timing to meet you at the exact threshold between your silence and your emergence. Your soul required confirmation, spoken clearly, without softening, that what you built in the quiet was real, was seen, and is now being activated for public display. If these words have named something you have been carrying without language, leave 777 in the comments and let the universe register that you received this message at the moment it was intended to arrive. Share this with someone still deep in their silent season, who is dangerously close to abandoning their development before witnessing its return. Subscribe so that every message aligned with your emergence frequency reaches you without delay. And stay, because what your silence built is only just beginning to be revealed.